Um, oh, Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. Welcome. I'm Scarlett Pinsker. I'm the Assistant Program Officer for the Robert Bosch Foundation Fellowship Program. I'm joined by my colleague, Jessica Lewis, who is an alumna herself. She was Bosch 28, and she's also one of the co-presidents of the Robert Bosch Foundation Alumni Association. And yeah, this is her second term, and she'll be joining us for the conversation later, and she'll be talking a little more about her experience during the year abroad. And then we'll also answer any questions at the end yeah, that you might have. So let's get started. Um, so the Robert Bosch Foundation Fellowship is administered by Cultural Vistas. That's a nonprofit organization that does international exchange and fellowship programs. We have a large portfolio of yeah, professional international exchange programs, inbound and outbound. For those who are coming into the United States, we are also a State Department designated J1 visa sponsor, yeah, which is a great thing. We have an active partner network in over 100 countries, mostly though in Europe and in South America. Yeah, and as I said, we do internships, fellowships, work and study abroad programs, and study tours, and all sorts of different stuff for different people and who are at different stages in their respective careers. Cultural Vistas acts as the representative or the US representative of this specific program, and we have offices in New York, in DC, and also in Berlin. The Robert Bosch Stiftung is the funder of this program. The Stiftung, which is foundation, was established in 1964, and it's one of the largest German corporate foundations in Europe. It supports topics like international understanding, transatlantic relations, health, social work, education, culture, and arts. It dedicates roughly $2 million every year to the Bosch Foundation Fellowship. And as you can tell, it's the foundation's yeah, flagship program for transatlantic relations. And it's also its most important project when it comes to German-American relations. And this specific program was created in '84 at a time when German-American relations weren't as, were not as good, or yeah. Yeah, and it is the program's goal to create a new generation of US leaders in the public and private sectors with first-hand professional experience in Germany and the European Union. So now I would like to give you a little summary of the program and its three important components. So the program is a distinguished transatlantic initiative for up to 15 accomplished Americans to participate in this 8-month or 11-month long program. So you can choose whether you like to do the shorter version of 8 months or the 11-month version, depending on the arrangements with your employer, or you can take a leave of absence, a sabbatical, whatever is you're most comfortable with, or what your life situation is at that point in time. So one of the main components of this program is the intensive German language training. So when selected a fellow, you would start with private tutoring here in the US for approximately 3 months. So it would be 3 to 4 hours a week with a private tutor. So we would either arrange that, or if you have a professor you previously worked with, that's fine as well. So we work something out, whatever you're most comfortable with. And yeah, ideally it would be 3 to 4 hours a week. So you would improve upon your language skills. And yeah, then when you depart in the summer in July, you would go to a language school in Germany. It's a private language school full time. That would be for about 8 weeks to 10 weeks, from Monday through Friday, and you would take classes with some of the other fellows, depending on the class you'll be taking. So another component is the 1 to 2 customized practical assignments. So if you decide to do the 8 months version, you would be completing 1 assignment. If you decide to do the 11-month version, you would be taking 2 or completing 2 practical assignments at 1 or 2 host institutions, companies, foundations, or whatever you choose to do. And you would be basically acting as a consultant in your field and share your expertise with your host organization. And fellows complete work phases in key German institutions such as the federal government, the parliament, private corporations, major German media, and cultural organizations. And you would work closely with the Robert Bosch Stiftung to secure a position in a related field. And they have incredible resources and a vast network that you can really utilize during that process. Then the third component of the fellowship program are the high-level seminars, and you would basically, and these are 2 to 3. So if you do the 8 months version, you would complete 2 seminars, and if you would do the 11-month version, it would be 3 seminars. And during those seminars, you, among other things, you meet with transatlantic experts and leaders of German and European institutions, businesses, government representatives, but you would also learn more about, current trends and German history, politics, the institutional frameworks, and so forth. I'll be talking a little more about that later in my presentation. So this is basically the framework of the fellowship program. So we recruit from a wide variety of professional fields. So the candidates and ultimately fellows' backgrounds are incredibly diverse, and that's what we're looking for, and that's what we want: different people, different perspectives, and these are most of our professional fields we are sort of representing. There's no quota for any of these fields, but most people or most fellows are involved in some sense with public policy and foreign and security policy. That's just been our experience of most people, or a lot of people in those fields apply. So our cohort is 15 Americans, and to put that in perspective, so we receive 200 to 250 applications every year. So as you can see, this is quite competitive. So the application requirements are that you must be a US citizen. If you are a dual citizen, that's wonderful. It makes the paperwork even easier, but you must, it's like great, but you must be, a US citizen. Our age cap is 40. what's really important is that you have to have 5 years, at least 5 years of work experience. And this excludes internships or graduate work. So that's really crucial for when you apply. Yeah, and we receive applications from people who are 27 till up to 40, and our cohort, so our current cohort is also very diverse. So we have a young journalist who's 27, 28, and then another person who's 39 and 40. So it's really like a very diverse group, which is wonderful. Um, Graduate degree is preferred, but it's not mandatory. So a lot of our journalists don't have a graduate degree, and that's absolutely fine, as long as they sort of show that they've worked for at least 5 years in their related field. A key component is obviously the willingness and commitment to learn German. So that's really, really important. We provide a lot of resources and sort of invest a lot in that, and we really want fellows to dedicate a lot of time and energy to that and to sort of improve upon their German. Though, if 1/3 of our applicants don't have any proficiency or no experience, so that's fine. You don't have to be a German speaker to apply. 1/3 really start, and other 2/3 of our fellows are beginners or on an intermediate level. So very few are, very advanced on like a C1 level, for instance. And obviously, it's really important the transatlantic interest, your transatlantic interest, the German European or German American component is really important. So in your application, we want to see, or we want you to explain what you would get out of this program, short term and long term. And how would you stay connected and strengthen German-American relations in the long run? So we really want to see that sort of connection, how you want to stay engaged in the transatlantic community. How do you want to be a leader, a US leader in that field? How do you want to, be a change maker? How do you want to strengthen these ties? And it's also important to sort of describe why this fellowship would be fitted to your career and to your career goals, and why would this be part of your career in the long run, and how can you be a leader in the field. Now I would like to talk a little more about important dates. So the application deadline is November 1st. We will be informing applicants whether they made it to the interview round in mid to late January. We will be inviting 35 finalists to Chicago in late February, early March. And then you would have, if selected, you would have 2 weeks after the final round. Within 2 weeks after the final round, we would notify you if you are selected, and then you would have 2 weeks to decide if you accept this fellowship that you got awarded and return the paperwork, and then you would start right away with your US-based private tutoring in March. So the interviews have different components to them, one of which is a dinner, a meal with selection committee members. It's going to be 7 or 8 next year. Staff, Cultural Vistas staff, and the foundation staff, and you'd also meet other candidates. And this is a good time to get to know sort of everyone and ask questions, and it's a little more informal, but still part of the selection process. The second component is the panel interview. So you would be grouped. So you and about 3 or 2 other candidates would be grouped by field. So journalists are in one group, or urban planners are in one group, or and you would be interviewed by the selection committee. And the interview is about 1 hour long. And the third component would be a group activity, also in a group, and this could be a presentation, a project that you would have to do with other candidates, and it's really important. So that's sort of an activity to assess your leadership skills, communication skills, and how well you work in a team. And the fourth component is the language assessment, which is since there are applicants or finalists who don't speak German, it's more of a conversation. Do you speak any other language? It's more conversational and really not that significant. It's not significant at all in the entire selection process. It's more that you would get to know the tutors we are working with, and sort of they would have the chance to see where you're at, if at all. Yeah, and then the next part would be orientation, pre-departure orientation at the end of April. So for 2 days, we would be going to Washington, D.C., where we would meet with representative of the German embassy and 1 or 2 representatives of the State Departments, and have meetings and sort of get to know each other. We would also have someone from the Brookings Institution speak with you, and we would host an alumni happy hour where selected fellows would have the chance to meet alumni, which is always a great, opportunity to ask questions and sort of bond and create this network, which is really important. We want strong cohorts who are a good team. And then during this period of time, fellows connect with the Stiftung and sort of to start planning their work phases. So, as I already mentioned, the foundation has incredible resources, and when it comes to connecting fellows with organizations, companies, etc. So that's also always a good time to discuss logistics and to get this process sort of started. Another component of orientation is a language assessment. So we would sort of work with tutors to see where you're at, how much progress you've made from when you started your private tutoring, to sort of see which class you could take when going to Germany. And then in late June and early July, you would be leaving for Germany or for Berlin, where you would go to the private language school. This is sort of the rough timeline. So you would leave in early July, then we would have a welcome workshop in Berlin and also in Stuttgart. So you would meet all of our colleagues in Berlin. We would have meetings with representatives of the embassy, lectures or presentations, and you would go to Stuttgart, where the foundation has its headquarters, would meet with people there and just sort of, have evening events, networking events, and sort of get settled. And we have our colleague, Cultural Vistas colleague in Berlin, who would assist you with, getting settled and just start sort of your year in Berlin. Then in about late September, we would have seminar 1. Then in October, you would start with your first practical assignment, which is 3 months, till like late December. Then in January, you would start seminar 2. The 8-month fellows depart. For those who stay longer, they do their second professional assignment, and then in May, we would have seminar 3, and everyone would then depart. now I'd like to talk a little more about the seminar series. So for seminar one, typically deals with topics that concern Germany at the federal level. So fellows often learn or discuss the institutional frameworks of the German government and governmental institutions. And and the first seminar focuses on the history, politics, culture, and economics of Germany. So again, representatives or experts, transatlantic experts, but experts of Germany or in their fields would give presentations. You would have the chance to discuss, these issues, and you sort of get the basis or learn more about Germany. Seminar 2 usually deals more with Germany on the local level, on the states level. So you would learn a little more about Germany's regional diversity, and you would have the chance to travel across Germany, and also at times you would go to places like such as Brussels or Strasbourg as sort of excursions to meet with people and also learn. Germany is incredibly diverse. There are different, places, and that's a great opportunity to really experience that and learn even more firsthand. That's also the time. So when you apply, you have to identify a transatlantic topic, and so when you initially identify your transatlantic topic within your field, you would then expand upon that while doing your professional assignment and sort of keep working on your transatlantic topic that has a connection to your work placement. And during seminar 2, people start presenting, especially those who will leave after 8 months, will start presenting on their topics. And oftentimes fellows even invite colleagues from their host institutions, and they would do panel discussions or do a presentation together. But that's sort of a good time to talk about or discuss what you've been doing and where you're at. Part of seminar 2 is also a midterm evaluation. That's a good chance for fellows to talk about their experience so far, check back with staff, and to, see where we're all at. And seminar 3 deals more with current trends, global trends, and really focuses more on the international perspective. And then we would have the final transatlantic topic presentations and a final program review. The next 4 slides are sort of sample institutions that we have. I'm not going to read them all to you. You can access them on the website. But, this is just a sample of public sector host institutions. These are private sector host institutions we've been working with. These media organizations. This is just, just a sample. These are just a few of more partners we're having. And then here are some examples for NGOs and foundations. So it is part of the application process for you to identify a host organization that you would like to work with, or company, or foundation. And so for those who would like to complete the 8-month fellowship, you would need to identify one host organization. And for those who would like to complete the 11-month version, you would need to, or ideally, you would identify 2 organizations in your application that you would like to work with. So, and sort of identify those organizations, and talk or discuss your goals. What do you seek to achieve? What are your goals? Why do you want to work with them? Is there a specific project you want to be working on? Is there a specific department you want to work with? Um, is there even a specific role you want to take? And just generally, it's really important that you do thorough research, because we find that those applicants who are more detailed about or detailed about this are the most successful ones. So it's really important that you do your thorough research and just really know what you want and what your goals are. And that's always just very good. And these are strong candidates. Yeah, okay. Thank you. Now I would like to talk a little about the benefits of the program. So starting in October, when you start your first practical assignment through February or May, you would receive a monthly stipend of 32 to 3700 euros, depending on your number of accompanying family members. So if you're single, you will receive 3,200 euros. If you have a spouse or children, you may receive up to 3,700 euros. All program-related costs are covered for, so we would pay for flight and hotels during selection, for orientation. You will also receive a transatlantic travel stipend, so you can come or go to Germany and come back. For the month of the language training in the summer, so from July through September, you will receive a 1,500 or 1,500 euros each month, but we will, or the Stiftung sets you up with a real estate agent they're working with, and they would help you find a furnished apartment, and the Stiftung would cover all of your rental costs if you decide to work with their real estate agents and do it through their network. If you decide to do it on your own, that's absolutely fine. Then you would receive up to 700 euros for your rent if you're single, and if you have family members coming with you, it would be up to 900 euros to cover your rent. So it's usually a little less if you do it individually or without our real estate agent. All of the fees for the language training are covered for. So the US based private tutoring is covered by Cultural Vistas, and we organize and administer that. And the July through August language school is covered and organized by the Stiftung. And then you would have the opportunity after the language school part is completed to take private lessons, and we would provide you with a budget up to 1,500 euros if you decide to do that during the seminar series or the practical assignments. For 8 months fellows, it's up to 1,000 euros, and for those who stay longer, it's up to 1,500 euros. So that's really nice too, that you would be able to continue working on your German. We also provide health insurance for our fellows, and we also have a business travel budget of 1,000 euros for 8 months fellows and 1,600 for 11 months fellows. So once you've completed your fellowship year, you're an alum, you're a member of the Robert Bosch Foundation Alumni Association that was created by the first cohort that got back in 1985. We have over 500 members. Jessica is one of the co-presidents. I'm the alumni coordinator, so we're working close. It's run by a volunteer board. Every year we have an annual meeting That's 3 days. So this year we went to DC. Next year we're going to Berlin, and we're doing a ton of events, do great activities, and have panel discussions and all sorts of fun things. You can also apply for regional events funding or larger project funding. So that's also a great opportunity not only to do projects that are funded, but also to keep up with the network and connect with lots of interesting people, and stay active in the transatlantic community. If you want to check it out, it's boschalumni.org. These are a few of our alumni. You can check our alumni out, also on our website.
Where am I scrolling?
Oops. So how to apply? So the deadline is November 1st. You request an online application at culturalvistas.org/Bosch. You fill out the application form, submit a resume. It doesn't have to be one page. You can, so it shouldn't be longer than 3 pages, but you don't have to restrain yourself to 1 page. It's absolutely fine. You will submit a few short essays. That's part of that. I believe it's 6. We also have sample questions on our website. And and then we need 2 letters of recommendations. Ideally, it's 2 professional letters of recommendations, because this is really a professional fellowship and not academic. But if you're currently a graduate student, we're happy to receive an academic letter of recommendation, but ideally it's 2, and it has to be at least 1. That's for sure. When it's always, or we recommend, if you feel comfortable with that, to share your short essays with those you choose to write your letters of recommendations for you, so they're aware and so they know what your goals are, what you want to do, where you're at, what your projects are. And one of the things that are important for them to sort of write about you are your leadership skills. So talk about when you had to prove, or when you worked on a project, or how you're a leader in your field. That's really crucial to sort of have evidence of that from a person you've worked with, who was a supervisor, mentor, or colleague. It does not have to be your current employer. If you don't feel comfortable with that, we absolutely understand that. That doesn't have to be the case. And then we also need your most recent university transcript. So if you have a graduate degree, we would need that, and then you may also upload your undergraduate transcript. That's up to you. Most people do that, so we sort of get to know the candidate a little better and just learn a little more about their background. If you're currently a graduate student, we would need that transcript, and definitely your undergraduate degree. But and it doesn't have to be an official copy. We don't require that. And so if you like to apply, you would just request an application over there, and then you would be directed to or receive more information. So you can also reach out to us, to my colleague Ruth Conkling, who is the program officer, to me. And it's always helpful to follow us on social media for updates, deadlines, or if we're in town to meet, us or alumni. That's always helpful. And that's about it. Thank you so much. And now I would love Jessica to talk a little more about the fellowship. And you would have to like, yeah, it's the mic itself. Yeah.
Oh, here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Hopefully this helps. I think you can hear me in the back.
It's for those who are on YouTube. Okay.
So thank you, Scarlett. As she said, my name is Jessica Lewis. I did the Bosch Fellowship from 2011 to 2012. So that's what I'm here for today. I'm here to tell you that it's the most amazing thing you'll ever do in your life and answer any questions you might have. I can give you a little bit of background about myself, just so you kind of get a sense for, why I did it and how I got there. I was actually born in Germany because both my parents were in the American military. So that sort of started the love of Germany. We were over there for a long time. And then after undergrad, I did a Fulbright where I taught English in Heidelberg for a year. And then after graduate school, I did the Bosch Fellowship. During graduate school, I worked at an energy consulting firm. And that really sparked a passion of mine for energy. And so I was able to parlay that into the Bosch Fellowship because I worked on energy while I was over there. So I worked at two places. I had two stages. Things were a little bit different back then. Everybody had two stages. Right. Yeah. So just a little bit different, but this was 5 years ago. So I worked at an energy company over there, Energy Baden-Württemberg in Berlin. And I worked on a project looking at different ways to integrate renewable energy into the market. And then I also worked at the Federal Ministry for the Environment in their International Cooperation on Renewable Energy office. You'll find that a lot of German offices have really long names, so get used to that. And then after I came back, I worked at a nuclear power plant for a little while. And then I worked as a contractor for DHS, working on energy and security issues. And now I work at the Government Accountability Office here in DC on energy and infrastructure issues. So that's a little background on me. I don't know if there's anything else I should. We actually didn't have that back then. We didn't have that, folks. I was listening to all these things. It's a lot of memories, coming back, but some of it is new. We did have to give a presentation at the end of the year. So that was on the integration of renewable energy into the market. And it was comparing American strategies for that and German strategies for that. So that was sort of the transatlantic part of that. But now coming back, I'm an active in the Alumni Association. As Scarlett said, I'm the co-president. I've also helped review applications before in previous years. And last year I was on the selection committee. I was really honored to be a part of that to help interview people here in DC. It was here in DC last year. So basically, any questions you have about before, during, after, we're here for that. Yeah.
Learning in the spring, were they able to really fully become part of the work of the site where they were working?
It's a really great question, and the answer is it varies. I would say that people come in with varying levels of language skill, period. So one thing that I think we look for, or the CV, the Stiftung look for when they're looking at applicants, is maybe you don't have any German experience, but you have some language experience. And that at least shows that you have the capacity to learn languages, which can be difficult, obviously. We had some people in my year who kind of trudged along. It was really difficult for them, but they were a little bit older and they had never studied a language before. But then we had other people in the program who were fluent already in 2-3 languages, and they picked it up, like nothing. And they were able to incorporate into the work life very easily. So I think it depends on the person, how much effort you put into it, what your experience is with language to begin with. And, yeah.
Almost everyone speaks English, so that's absolutely fine. And for instance, we have a current fellow, and she just, she didn't speak or hadn't spoken English before, and then she started her language thing. She's a journalist, and now she's up to B2 because she used all of her resources, did all of the, you know, all of the training, and now she's up there, and she wants to, for her next stage, she wants to write articles in German. So, you know, it really depends what you make out of it. If you are committed, you have the resources at your display, and you can really become really proficient. But I mean, it really depends. Some people are more talented, or you know.
Yeah, but I would also add that the language training is one of the best parts about this fellowship. Getting the one-on-one tutoring really took my German to another level. I would say, you know, I studied it in college. I also was there as a kid, but lost a lot of it. And then did the Fulbright. But I was still at an intermediate level, maybe like a little more than advanced intermediate. But doing the one-on-one tutoring was able to take me up to this C1 level that Scarlett's mentioning, which is sort of like the fluent level that Germans call. What is that standard? It's like a day a day or something, or okay. But yeah, it's great. And we actually, some people had to do a lot more back then. Is it only 4 hours a week capped now?
For last year, or for Bosch 34, it's 4 hours.
Okay.
So it did.
Okay, that's good. Some people used to have to do 10 hours a week. Which is way too much.
Yeah. So yeah, that's like, or like have a full-time job, just do that. It's like, you know, it's.
And it is tough. I mean, because it's you're working a muscle in your brain, so it is very tiring. The summer school can be tiring for people because you're in there from 8, 9 to 5. You know, Monday through Friday. So it's a lot. It's a lot of language learning. But if you like learning languages, it's fun.
For the professional assignments. So I know that it says it lines up with professional goals and interests, but if your background is primarily public policy or defense policy, but you're interested in pursuing more of a business-oriented career in the future, does not having a lot of business experience prior to the fellowship exclude you from working at a business, or would it be one of those things where maybe you do your first assignment at, say, the defense ministry, and then your second one at Siemens?
That's a great point. Yes, exactly. I mean, so as long as it fits your larger goal, as long as there's a transatlantic component to it, and you know, so we don't want people to apply who just want to change their careers completely, who just don't know what to do for a given year. But there's absolutely flexibility, and if you would like to complete one assignment that's more business oriented, that's absolutely fine. And then do the second or the first stage, you know, in public policy. Yeah.
Yeah, I think on a larger level, like with your application, you just want to make sure you thread a narrative that makes sense. And like Scarlett said, what they don't want is they don't want people to come over who have expertise in something totally different and not be utilizing that expertise.
Right.
They want you over there because they want your expertise. They want you using that in some way.
Exactly, that's a great point, because you will be acting as a consultant in your field. You want to share your expertise within an organization, and that's what we want. And you want to, you know, you want to draw that connection, and you want to share what you know, so the company or colleagues could benefit from your knowledge, from your expertise, and that's what we want. Yeah. Yes. Go ahead.
Oh. Did you rely primarily on the Stiftung to find your stage? On your own?
I would say it was half and half for me. Actually, because I went to school at Georgetown for my master's degree, we had some professors who had connections not only to the program but to people in Germany in general. So for my first stage that I did at the energy company, that was actually through a professor of mine at Georgetown. She had contact over there, and I think in my cohort, a lot of people, I'd say about half and half, had contacts on their own or that they made through other people, and those were really successful stages, I think. I mean, you can get a really great stage through the Stiftung as well, but if you are more personally invested in the search and you find a way to find the connections or somebody that you know, they're going to be more invested on that side too in you, I think. So I think there's something to be said for trying on your own to find it as well, but the Stiftung does have a lot of connections.
Yeah, so we have, exactly, so the Stiftung has a ton of wonderful connections, networks, and resources which you can utilize. But what's really important, and I'm not sure if I really mentioned it, that it's your responsibility to secure a position. We facilitate the introduction and we, help you out, but it's in the end, it's in your hands what you want to make out of it, and you don't have to use their networks. You can, if you identify or if you know an organization you really want to work with, that's wonderful, and really, then you would reach out and make it happen. But that's absolutely fine. And we're happy if we, get more partners, and it's also good. Yeah.
Yeah, and then there are some institutions that you don't really need to go through anyone except the Stiftung, like the federal ministries or the parliament offices.
Yeah.
And these are really long-standing connections that the foundation has in those areas. So, like for my second stage where I worked at the federal ministry for the environment, they've had people in all kinds of different offices in there, and they'll have somebody every year in a different office. So they're well equipped and well prepared to
absolutely
have Boschies in there, so that can be a good option as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, they would also help you with the clearances and that sort of stuff. But yeah, that's important. Yes, you.
Yeah, my question I think kind of builds on what you guys have just been talking about. So I'm trying to understand how you really develop the sort of the stage within your organization. So I mean, we're gonna write this application that says what we're interested in doing it. It has to align with the organization's needs. And I guess my question is sort of what kind of role does the individual play in your organization? Are you tasked to a project? Are you sort of observing? And I imagine maybe it takes different forms, but you can talk about that.
Yeah. So I can talk a little bit about my experience. In the first one where I worked at that energy company, I was really working individually on a project that they wanted.
Okay.
So they wanted an analysis of, the Americans versus the Germans and how they're doing renewable energy wise and integrating stuff into the market. So I was working on that for a long time on my own. For the most part, we check in with sort of my advisor, and he would see my progress and I would ask him questions. But that was a totally different experience than the second stage where I was working in a couple different groups and helping people out with different projects on the international level. So it totally depends. But I think, the main point is if you like a certain style better, then you work on that before you get into the stage. And you don't have to worry about that before you apply. Whatever you put in your application is just sort of like an estimate or an idea. It's not going to lock you down. Right?
Yeah.
Once you're there.
So you may change your target host institution.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But again, when you're talking about the role you're going to be taking, it depends on you. What you want, what you're looking for on your arrangements. So it could either be project-based, or you could be, more in a passive role, observant, or, work in a different department. Then again, it depends on what you negotiate with the organization. But you would not reach out to them while you're applying. So once selected, you would start these conversations with the Stiftung, and then,
Perfect. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm a journalist, and I was thinking to apply, and I was wondering if you need to have a specific, field that you want to be following, or if you say, I actually just want to be reporting back to, let's say, an AP, like to an American audience on general German news. Or would you want to hear, like, I want to follow renewable energy or refugee integration?
Oh, no, you can really report on, so when you're applying or when you're actually doing the stage, or whatever?
In your application.
In your application. I mean, again, it would be good or best to be specific and to, define or elaborate a little more on your goals and the topics you want to cover. That would be great. Yeah, if you have something in mind that's really striking to you that you want to work on for 1 or 2 stages, yes.
I would say we have seen that people apply for journalism in the energy field or with the refugee crisis, or there's some specific reason why, as a journalist, you might want to go over to Germany in particular and report from there. So if you can make a case for that, it doesn't have to be so specific, but just the reasons why.
Yeah.
I'm interested a little bit in learning about the selection process, specifically kind of how much is diversity within the cohort weighted as opposed to this, I mean, they'll all be strong candidates, but the strength of the candidates. So, you know, 20 people are all focused on public policy and very strong candidates. How is that weighted against, you know, a journalist? Someone's focused on journalism and you want to have diversity within the group.
So it depends on the applications or from who we receive applications every year, but there's no quota, and everyone, or those who, I guess, have the strongest applications and perform strongest during selection will be selected. But of course, we want, you know, it's ideal if there is a large representation in terms of professional fields and regional diversity. You know, if it, you know, it should be 15 people from DC ideally, if I may. Yeah. So you know, want people from different places, from different fields with different experiences. But then again, if we have 8 or 9 strong people who work in public policy or in DC, then they will be selected. Yeah, absolutely.
Can you talk about the transition and coming back to the United States after being in Germany and how you found a job?
Yeah. How did I? It was not the worst time to be coming back, 2012. I mean, some people a couple years before had a much worse time coming back. But it still took a little while. The best advice I got actually was from Mike Puccini, who was a couple years before me. And he said, take the summer off, don't worry about it, you know, get a job in the fall. And that was kind of what I did. But a lot of people, I would say half and half, kind of either went back to their jobs that they had previous to the fellowship, maybe in a different role or maybe somewhere else slightly. And then the other half were looking for jobs. But I will say that it's not the easiest thing to look for a job over here while you're over there. So you try to make connections along the way. Some people also stay in Germany. That's not the point of the program at all. They want you to come back to America and a change maker over here. But some people do stay on for a little while longer, you know, extending whatever they're working at, make some connections, and then come back over. It's difficult for some people. I would say for me, it was like medium difficult. I don't know if that helps.
And so with the 8-month option versus the 11th month option, do most people, you said there was a sort of a restructuring of the program that's come about, if that was part of it, but also do a lot of people choose the 8-month because that's the best arrangement for their existing employer and there's no real, you know, like benefit or quotas or something like that within the program?
So most people actually choose the 11 months.
Yeah,
So most people really do the year.
Almost all this year, right? Or was it?
Yes, this year I believe it's actually almost all, I believe, yeah. And last year was just one person who left after 8 months. So yeah, and yeah, they just do the year. And again, most people take a leave of absence or have whatever arrangement with their employer, and others really, you know, quit their jobs for the time being and then, you know, look for a new job when they come back. Yeah.
And then kind of on the front end of the job side of things, especially because I guess this was would be DC based and there's orientation you mentioned would be here.
Yes.
Starting when, I mean, if you have the luxury of leaving your position early, then that sounds great, but kind of what is the timing of that when most people would be looking to leave their current full-time employment and start the program?
So most people really work until the
Very
basically the
last.
day, yes, they leave. Yeah.
Okay.
So once selected, which is so you would get notified in February. So then we would send you the dates for orientation. Then most people just take, you know, those days off and then work until the last day, and then they leave. And everything is happening concurrently. So you would work your job and then would do the private tutoring, and you know, organize that while, you know, doing your full-time job.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
So on the transatlantic topic, I just want to make sure I understand that clearly. So are you looking more for like an issue that you intend for us to solve, or is it more of an issue where it's like a research project that we're putting into a particular topic that concerns both?
It could be either. It's really up to you. We are super flexible. Whatever you're interested in, as long as it has a transatlantic component, it can be practical. So you could be like doing a project, doing your stage, and then sort of write a report on that, or you could do research and present your findings, or it's really super flexible. You would be presenting, and then you would also write a report that you would submit to the Stiftung, and if you like, we would also publish it on our alumni website. So that's great too for others to read. And if you're interested in learning or reading a few transatlantic reports, we on our boschalumni.org website, we have a few of them, so you can sort of see what they're about, what people are writing about or discussing.
So is that, sorry, follow-up question. So is that topic then what you would be working on while you're in your stage with your organization?
Yeah, that's ideal, that you draw, yes, that you, of course, when you're applying, you don't know where you're at, but ideally you would draw the connection to, or yes, you would draw the connection to your practical assignment and, combine like a transatlantic perspective with your practical experience. So what Jessica was saying, it all has to be like a
a narrative.
Yes, a
a
narrative.
Story. And you know this from applying anywhere to grad school or undergrad. You have to make it make sense. I mean, even if you did things that were totally disparate and didn't make sense, you have to make sure that it somehow makes sense when you talk about it. And so, like, my advice always is, there are three things that you should include. One, and Scarlett covered some of this already, but one is, what is your expertise over here? What is your experience? What do you bring to the table over there that's a little bit different maybe for Germans that you might be working with? And number two, what do you hope to learn while you're over there from the Germans in particular? What are they really good at, or what do they offer you in your field that would be really beneficial for you in your career? Three, how are you going to bring that experience from Germany back over to the States and implement it in an effective way that's going to be, a good return for the Germans' investment in you, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you. This was perfectly yes. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Could you talk about some of the fellows this year, what they're doing?
Oh my God. So we have lots of different people. So one,
and a diverse group too.
They're really diverse. We have two or three journalists.
One of them works for the New York Magazine of Books or something.
Yeah. New York Review of Books, right? So she does cultural stuff. Yeah, and then we have Christopher Shea, who's based in London and who also does cultural stuff. Theater-related stuff. So they work. So they just actually, they're about to start their stages, and I'm actually not sure what they ended up doing.
But some other people who are over there, a couple people in security policy, one of whom has a PhD.
Yeah.
And then some other people who are into more public policy.
Right. I mean,
of course, we always have people interested in energy, so that's one of the bigger fields.
Yeah.
Usually.
I just can't. I just don't know at this point what our current fellows are doing right now. But yeah, I mean,
a lawyer.
Yeah, we have a sports gonna work for Adidas actually.
Oh,
he's gonna work for Adidas. So yeah, he works for the Steffi Graf and Andre Agassi Foundation. Yes, in the US. So and now he's gonna work for Adidas. And one of our current fellows, she's working for the Wall Street Journal actually. One over there in Germany. and one other woman or fellow who does weapons and does like military stuff. Yeah, she was gonna work for the defense ministry. Yeah.
They let her in? I'm shocked.
Yeah, she got a.
Okay, wow.
There are lots of clearances. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Do people usually choose one location? Like, are people saying, I'm going to stay in Berlin and try to find 2 places in Berlin? Or do they say, I'll be based in Köln and decide 2 places, close to that?
So most people, so since we start with language school in Berlin, most people actually stay in Berlin for at least their first stage, because it's an easier transition with moving and all of that, and there's just so much in Berlin, especially when it comes to government positions, I guess,
And it helps the cohesiveness of
yeah,
the cohort.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Some people do 2 stages in Berlin, but we would really encourage people to do one of the stages in a different city, because Berlin, Germany is not only Berlin, there's so many other places to explore and to make most of the entire experience. Yeah, we always sort of encourage people to do 2 different cities.
So your advice hasn't changed then.
Yeah. So that,
but I was in Berlin the whole time.
yeah, that's totally fine.
Which happened.
We'll do that.
And I think it also helped that I lived in Heidelberg before for the whole
Absolutely,
thing. So
absolutely.
Okay,
Yeah.
I've seen another part of Germany, that's fine.
But we have someone works on water, water stuff. It's Gloria. She just water systems here, and she's gonna be for her first stage now, actually in Berlin, and then the second stage she's gonna do in Hamburg. So to work on a water project. Yeah. So that's very specific and awesome. So she has a really specific project she wanted to work on. She's in a very specific field, and
We don't get a lot of people applying for water systems. So
Yeah.
if you have an interesting idea, your application kind of rises up out of the mist.
And one does weapons, so that's one of her. She's has a PhD and has been writing and publishing and working. Yeah, it's a job, and so that's also really interesting. And
I have 2 questions to both this short. First, do people ever get paid by the organization that they're staging for, and if so, does that kind of nullify the stipends? And then the second question, is there a preference for people to stage at a German organization or like as opposed to a European or a multinational?
So you will be receiving the stipend, and you will not get paid by the stipend because that's your income. It's stipend. Yeah, and it's a student visa.
Okay.
So you will not be compensated, but you get a compensation. So that's like a salary. It is a salary. Yeah, it's much higher.
There's a taxes conversation to be had too. Anyway.
Okay,
sorry.
Yeah, you can talk about that. It really doesn't matter if you're gonna be with a German organization or a international organization. So that really does not make a difference. There's no preference we have. We welcome everything.
But not as much American organizations.
You should be working, at the U.S. Embassy with just America. Yeah, but that's not the idea. But yeah. And you, yeah.
Yeah, I was wondering about vacation days.
Yeah, so that depends on the arrangements with your employer. So, for instance, for Christmas, Germans take like 2 weeks off, like before Christmas and in between holidays. So, excuse me, that's always a good time for people, to go home. And we have different national holidays. And again, this really depends the arrangements you make with the employer or the, your supervisor. But for sure, for sure you get 2 weeks off in late, mostly off in late December. And, then we have Easter, which is like different in Germany. There are a few more holidays and, yeah.
Basically, you can travel whenever you want. But it's Europe. You take a long weekend. You can go to Budapest on a weekend. You can go to Croatia on a weekend. You can go anywhere on a weekend. So just take Friday afternoon off. Everyone's fine.
Following up on a prior question with the international organizations, like in Bonn, Germany, there is part of the UN. Like you don't have, so that means that you don't have to be with the UN mission, for example, to the UN necessarily to be able to have your placement within one of the sections or the.
Do you know in particular like one you're thinking of? Okay.
No, but I mean,
Because UNESCO, we've had somebody be at UNESCO. So that's like one example I can think of.
right. It doesn't need to be like the German, the office of German.
Oh, no.
It can-
Yes, exactly. Yeah, it doesn't have to necessarily, if you're in a larger international organizations, you don't necessarily have to be with the German department, but yeah, if that's what, yeah.
Thank
you. Yeah, absolutely.
So what is the taxes conversation?
Oh gosh, it's complicated. So you would be, okay, so what's the, gosh.
You don't pay taxes in Germany, right?
Right.
So the question is whether you pay taxes in the U.S.
Right.
That's like a personal decision everybody
Right. Yeah.
based on applicable laws and your own experience and salary that you would have like the rest of the year. You know?
Right. Yeah, but there's been a controversy.
Oh.
Yeah, but I think you will have to.
That answers most of what I was
Yeah.
Yeah. That
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I mean, they will definitely talk to you about that. Like,
The shifter will talk to you
I was
about
mostly
that.
concerned if within the stipends in the 3,200
Right.
so that was really.
Oh no, that's what you receive. That's
Yeah.
what you receive. Sort of after taxes. That's what you get. The 3,200 euros is flat
Real
out
numbers.
yours.
Okay.
Yes.
Isn't there an exemption for overseas work?
yeah, it's with the visa. Like this particular visa that you have,
Mhm.
there's a way to not pay taxes. I feel like I'm being recorded. Yeah, you have to work all that out with your accountant.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I don't have. It was talk to actually accountant to figure out your personal situation, how to.
Right.
Yeah. I'm not an expert on that.
But there's also more housing stipends, isn't there? Or not anymore? Like an additional housing stipend above and beyond the 3,200?
No, this covers, so the 32 to 37 cover everything,
Okay.
yes. And then, but just for the language,
That portion.
that portion, we would cover the rental costs plus those would receive 1,500.
I was just gonna ask if, so the stipend is the same whether you're in Munich.
Yes, it's always the same.
Okay.
Yeah, it stays the same.
I don't know how familiar you guys are with Germany, but it is a lot easier to
Yeah,
live
absolutely.
in Berlin on that amount of money than it is say here in DC.
Yeah,
Rent is still, I mean, it's
Yeah.
creeping up a little in Berlin, but it's still a lot cheaper than it is
Absolutely.
here. Like 700 euros a month, you could find a 1-bedroom apartment easily.
Yeah.
Live it up, you know. And
Yeah.
then with the rest of the money, I mean, food costs are a lot
much
cheaper.
lower.
You go to the grocery store, you spend 20 euros. Here you spend 75.
Mhm.
It's like insane.
Yeah, so, living expenses are much lower in Germany, especially in Berlin. But if you go to places like Munich, for instance, or Hamburg, Frankfurt am Main, that's a little, not as affordable as Berlin, but prices are not as exorbitant like in DC or New York or, it's just.
Yeah, I found it very easy to live on the
Yeah.
stipend, and I had a much lower stipend back 5 years ago too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah. Do you have any other questions?
I had a very specific question about the application. It asks for kind of foreign travel. How specific does that want?
Oh, wow, that's a great question. And I do not have the answer to that. Like foreign, I think, right, sorry, excuse me. So we just want to see if you've completed an internship abroad, a fellowship abroad, or a study abroad. It's not about personal travel. It's more, have you, like, done any work or study?
Sometimes that field is totally blank on the application,
Okay.
So that's
Yeah.
sort of, that's a telling point.
Yeah, so it's not about personal travel, but just if you've had, any major international experience and what this was, yeah, and when, and yeah.
I have a question about the application qualifications. So there are two. One is evidence of outstanding professional performance, and the other is active participation in the community. Can you talk a little bit about what you're expecting to see there?
So we just want to see that you're sort of active in your community, that you're trying to make a difference. Whatever you're working in, it's just we want to see that you're engaged, an engaged citizen, global citizen, or citizen of the United States, and we just want to see that you, on top of your work, that you're just have other interests and just sort of
Like, what are some examples? Like, if you're active in an alumni association, or if you're
For
active in a
instance.
community
yeah,
organization,
exactly.
or you do like Habitat for Humanity, or anything
Yes,
like that.
anything. Yeah, exactly. On top of your professional sort of career, is there anything else you're committed to, engaged? Yeah, or is there a certain cause you're passionate about? That's always, we want to see that.
How about outstanding professional performance?
Excuse me.
Outstanding professional performance.
I mean, have you, worked on a project and it's been really successful, published, or have you accomplished anything outstanding?
It goes back to the leadership question.
Exactly.
Like,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
What have you led at work? Like, how do you show that you're a leader? How do you show that you had an impact?
Exactly.
They want people are going to be able to have an impact.
Exactly.
Yeah.
In your field.
Yeah.
Yeah. How you're an agent.
Right.
An active, an agent, change maker. And it's also, when you think about being a change maker, it's we don't want to define that in a too detailed way, because we want to see what you think is a change maker. How do you think you can be active as a change maker? How would you define that, and what would you do? So it's more about, it's part of the application process to see what do you define as a change maker and what makes you a change maker. And there's no formula for us, so we leave it a little open so for you to sort of see where you're at and what it means to you. Mm-hmm. Yes, absolutely.
The initial travel expense stipend, does that cover family members?
Yes, it does. So you, so it does. So we don't. So the travel stipend to Germany and then back to the United States. When you receive, so this year for this cohort, every fellow received a large stipend, and that covered, family expenses easily, yeah. But then it depends on what if you book business class trip, it's not good. Depends on how you do your research, but yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, that's about it. But yes, we always take, yeah, spouses and children into consideration when, you know.
Okay. And then this is my last question. So I got an email today from Faye Milas telling me that my application is open and saying, oh, you don't have to worry about submitting anything at once. Don't wait for your transcripts. Is there a preference for staggered submission of application documents?
About
sending stuff in separately or sending all your application documents together?
So you submit your application once you have everything, but you can work, like you can upload, you know, certain things at different times, and we will, whenever, so if you're, the people you chose who are going to write your letters of recommendation, if they choose to send us an actual letter, physical letters, we will let you know that we have received them and we will upload them, but you will not be able to see them. Only the administrator side will be able to see them, but we'll inform you if we receive any transcripts and that sort of stuff. But yeah, before you click submit, it has to be complete. Yeah, but you can, you know, take your time with.
So in your scenario, we wait for confirmation from you to tell us we received your letter of recommendation.
Yes, and if that's the last thing you need, then yeah, yes.
So obviously you don't want to wait until October 30th to start, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Very flexible. All right. Thank you so much for coming. Yes, yes, apply. Please reach out if you have any questions. I'm here. Ruth is here. Yeah, shoot me an email, apply, and yeah, I hope that I see some of you next year in Germany or in Chicago.